Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. No, this is not the Paranormal Pride. This is Paranormal Nation Radio, Not So Normal. And tonight, we're not so normal. Carl is in the middle of some storms out there in Missouri, and his internet is coming and going. And Ron and I are babysitting tonight, but he is with the kids in the kitchen, and he'll be in here as soon as everything, as soon as he can. And so keep that in mind. We are definitely being not so normal tonight. I'd like to welcome our guest tonight. I mean, there's no need to procrastinate. He's been waiting for an hour and a half. So Jeremy York is our guest tonight from Things Network. So we're going to have a candid talk about all kinds of things.
Everything things.
So my question for you is, when did you start Things of Indiana?
I started it back in 2009, October. And it was a very, very slow start. For the longest time, it was just me. Because the team did start out with 4 people, but we did not get past the first meeting. Everybody had work issues and scheduling and all of that. So I was like, well, okay, I'll just go on with just what I can do. And a few years later, I got invited to be a part of a different team. And one of the founders of that team said, you know what, I'm kind of bored with the team name, which at the time was TNT Investigations, and decided she wanted to change the name, and she and I were working together. So she started bouncing names off of me and asking me for my input, which, okay. And we ended up narrowing it down to 4 names. And by that time, there were 4 of us. Scott Smith was one of them. In fact, he and I are the only ones from that original 4. And we ended up settling down on Things, which was the original name that I had back in 2009. And just kind of went from there.
When did you decide to make Things Network?
Well, there were two versions of it. The original Things Network was an actual network of teams mirrored after the Taps family, but I didn't want to call it Things Family because to me that's just outright copying what Taps was doing. So I decided to go network and make it a little more broader than what they did because I wanted to cover different things and have multiple teams instead of just one team per state. That has since, ironically, became Things Family because Things Network, this version, started up in 2021 after me and a few others left an old network, and we started up this Things Network, and well, you know how that went.
Yeah, I do. So, because we were invited to be Things of Florida, and Carl was invited to be Things of Missouri, and Kat Hobson was invited to be Things of Alabama.
Yep.
And I can't wait to investigate with Kat. The closest thing we've ever come to investigating was walking around Sloss Furnace 10 years ago.
Oh, I thought you guys had already worked together before.
We've been working together forever, just never in the paranormal, in a paranormal investigation. Isn't that funny?
It is.
Yeah. I mean, we've done all kinds of things together and just not that. And our friendship has a depth that's all of its own. So yes, it was brought about by the paranormal, but that's not our only thing together, which is great.
No, that is a good thing because I am not a fan of having a friendship with someone that is just based on the paranormal. I like to know the people. Like Scott and I, we know each other real well. Um, Adrian, Nick, I know them real well. I've stayed at Adrian's house several times. Nick and I have taken a few road trips together. It, yeah, I like to get to know people and know them beyond the paranormal.
It's important to know people outside of outside the paranormal because you find out who they really are.
Yes.
And so, hey Joe, hey Tom and Karen. Now Tom McNicholas, he's part of Things of Illinois as well, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
With Nick. So we met Nick and Tom at a Paracon in Alton, Illinois, back in 2018, I believe it was.
So that would have been long before I met any of you all.
Yeah, and we met, and what's funny is we didn't meet at the Paracon. We were at the same Paracon. We saw each other at the Paracon. We met at the hotel the next morning. And because it was much more quiet at that point. And,
Yes.
And it's nice to not have all the distractions of all the other people around at that point.
That's why I'm not that big of a fan of Paracons. I enjoy them. Don't get me wrong, but like you said, there's too many things going on, too many distractions, too many conversations, and like for me, it if there's a lot of people talking at one time, it makes it very hard for me to hone in on just the one that I need to concentrate on. So I much prefer the more intimate settings, out away from that environment.
Yeah. And like Tom just said, it doesn't seem like that long ago that we met. But I agree. We'll go to Paracons and people go, "Oh, you need to get a table." I'm like, "No, I don't. I don't need a table." They go, "Why?" I said, "First off, I have nothing to sell. I mean, I can pay less money to get in and walk around and meet everybody that I want to meet on my time. And their time is sitting there behind the table. So they're a captive audience. I can talk to them all I want at
More
that
or
point.
less, yeah.
Yeah. And half the time I end up sitting behind the table with them, talking to them. So why should I pay for a table when I end up at somebody's table anyway?
That's actually a good way of looking at it.
Yep. I mean, Kat came to a Paracon here in Pensacola, and she didn't know that we were going to show up. We had a disagreement, but we're good people. We figured it out. We showed up at the Paracon, and we spent the entire weekend sitting behind Kat's table with Kat. So that's what it is. Yeah. And Tom says, next thing I know, I was hosting his Paracon.
Wow.
His Paracon, I will tell you, there was one thing about it that was great. Every vendor showed up. Not one did not show up that said that they were coming.
That's rare.
Every speaker showed up as well. It was excellent as far as that goes. The venue, on the other hand, did not advertise that we were there, even though I had advertised on I put it everywhere around the Chicago area. It just happened to be a weekend where there was so much going on in Chicago that it got lost in the mix.
Oh, yeah, that's really rare because I have hosted a Paracon myself. I'm a part of the committee that puts on the Para Unity Convention here in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Have been for 7 years now, and every year there's always at least one or two vendors that, at the very last minute, oh, we can't come.
Mm-hmm.
And I have seen that pretty much every other place I've ever been to. So if Tom had one and not one person didn't show up, that is exceedingly rare.
It was excellent. I mean, we had Coyote Chris and we had Chris Nielsen along with his now wife, um, Kelly Nielsen. We had Rick Wade. He drove down from Michigan. We had Frank Bennett, who drove from Ohio. Let's see. We had a whole bunch of other vendors that were selling unusual things. We also had Ursula Bilski. She was late, but she showed up, you know. So, and we had some people from Mattoon, or not, it was in, we had some people from the Mattoon area that came out. I forgot her name. But like I said, it was great as far as that went. And we had such a good time. And I would do it again, but somewhere else, somewhere where there's not so much stuff going on.
Well, Chicago is one of the largest cities in the country, no doubt, and definitely one of the busiest. But it's also one with more history than people give it credit for.
Oh, I know.
Of course, there's all this about the like the Al Capone gangs and the gangsters, the St. Valentine's Day massacre, but it seems like a lot of people forget that the entire city of Chicago at one time was on fire.
Oh yeah.
I almost never hear anything about that anymore when people talk about Chicago and its history.
The biggest parts of the history that I knew. I mean, I'm from Baltimore. Baltimore burned as well. Not all of it, but parts of it had. But they did the song, the night Chicago died, and all these other things that are related to the fire, to the massacre. I mean, there's all kinds of different things. Mm-hmm. We went to the hey there, Kat. We went to the Egyptian theater.
Okay.
That had a really interesting history, but I couldn't find all of it. You know what I mean? I couldn't find all the history. What they told us was interesting, but there's so much more history than what they share with you. Just like in Chicago, we know that Joliet is got a lot of history. I can't go there, but I probably can now, I guess. But you look at it and you go, why is parts of these histories left out?
Sometimes history is not necessarily left out intentionally, but forgotten. And sometimes things just don't get written down or recorded. It happens.
It's sad when that happens, but again, that's kind of where the paranormal can sometimes come in and re-highlight history.
What is he doing with those kids?
That one just screams a lot.
Okay.
My grandson is autistic, so you tell him no, and it's like you just tried to yank his tooth out of his mouth with no anesthetic. It's just, that's it. So
with my daughter, there is no telling her no. You actually have to force her away from something because she doesn't really understand no.
I just had some weird sound in my house. I don't know what it was, and it wasn't a kid.
It almost sounded like a growl.
It was something. It sounded like something falling on the outside of the wall, and it's brick. So, I mean, a branch could have fallen. I guess I don't know, but could be the HOA coming to tell me I didn't cover my air conditioner yet.
Oh, don't bring up air conditioning. My dad just had a battle with his. His air conditioner went out about 3 weeks ago.
Oh no!
And they just fixed it finally yesterday because they had to order a part, and it took a long time for a compressor part to come in. But where we got lucky is that the whole time his AC was out, the temperatures have been on the low side. And it got fixed yesterday, and today all of a sudden we're in the 70s and 80s. We almost reached 90 degrees.
We were, what was it? We went to the beach on Saturday, and when we left our house, it felt like 90 something. We get down to Fort Walton Beach, and the wind is blowing, and it feels cold. It was still, I hate to say this, but it was still 80 something degrees. It just felt cold.
That's because you're getting the temperature from the water.
The water is 80 degrees right now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, hey,
That's
Susan.
Over than 90.
Yep. And hey, Crystal. Yeah. When the water is over 90, it feels like you're taking a bath, and it's not very refreshing. I'm just saying. No matter how much you love the beach, the water's just not refreshing at that point in time. So, but you know, that's neither here nor there. Well, I'm glad your dad's air conditioner got fixed, and hopefully it stays that way. But no, we got notice yesterday that all central air units had to be covered. You cannot see them from the road. And it's like, oh, then why did you build this subdivision with the air conditioners where they are? Did you have some kind of agreement with the fence company? You know, so I'm not the person to mess with with the HOA stuff.
If you cover the unit, isn't that going to block it from being able to pull in the air to?
No, they want us to put a fence up to where you can't see it from the road. So I'm going to plant some bushes to where it's not a problem. Our neighbor, she said next door, she goes, I'm going to plant these things. Are you fine with that? I said, plant whatever you want. You can cover mine up too. I don't care. So she's planting all kind of canna plants and elephant ears, and because elephant ears will get about 3 feet tall. Just one leaf can be 3 feet tall.
Damn.
So my air conditioner will be covered in no time.
That's why I will make it a point to never be in an HOA, because I am not going to be told what I can and can't do with my house.
They've gotten to the point to where they don't really talk to me much. And I'm on the fines committee. I think I got kicked off. And the reason that I wanted to be on the fines committee was to make sure that nobody got excessively fined for stupid bullshit. So we've never lived in an HOA. And at this point, if they keep it up, we'll be moving. I don't need my final years in this world to be ate up with stupid people who have a complex of that they're dictators, that they want to dictate to me how to live.
Yeah.
As long as my grass isn't 10 feet tall, you can find my driveway. I think we're good. You know, so I've seen some really bad houses down here. I know up there you probably have too, but down here, if you can grow grass, you're doing great.
I did used to live in Florida, but on the other side of the state. And I tell you, to this day, I miss it. I moved away from Florida when I was 9, and been back there. Julie's got it. Been back there a handful of times. Last time I was there was in 2008. I'm about due. I really want to come back to Florida. Yeah. But I don't know if I would ever want to live there again, because I am not a fan of hurricanes.
Well, you know, I do have one good piece of news on that. Since they decided that they were going to retire Hurricane Milton, we never have to worry about Hurricane Milton hitting Milton, Florida ever again. It'll never happen. But, you know, what's really bad is during Hurricane Helene, we had left town, not because of the hurricane, but because we had made plans to go see our daughter in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Guess what? We woke up to no power in our hotel that morning because we got to experience a tropical storm in South Carolina, in the mountains of South Carolina at that.
Oh, boy.
Because we weren't that far from where all the bad stuff really happened. We weren't that far, but yeah, my first tropical storm hurricane as a Florida resident happened to me in South Carolina. Didn't make sense, does it?
No, in today's world, that makes perfect sense. Because nothing in this world anymore really makes sense.
No, we actually talked about that some last night, about how some things are just so different than they used to be.
Yes.
Or actually, we're going to talk about, I want to talk to you about this phenomenon.
Okay.
Maybe you know something about this one. You're in a room and all of a sudden, all of the air goes out of the room. It goes from being light and airy to oppressive and dark. Have you witnessed that?
Usually when I experience something like that is when somebody that I can't stand walk into the room. And now all of a sudden where I'm at is no longer fun to be in, because I know that this person is just a total dickhead.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how else to explain it. But as far as paranormal wise, no. Just from certain people coming in, and I know that there is no reason for me to deal with this person. I have no inclination to deal with this person. I don't even like being in the same room. But for certain people, as soon as I see them, then everything is like dark.
Because we were talking about Frank Bennett last night was talking about he was at a bar. He was too young to be in a bar, but he was in a bar. So we're not going to talk about that part. But he was in there, and all of a sudden, everybody and everything, it went from being fun to being horrible, and everybody, went from being happy to sad, and all kinds of weird kind of things that you just don't get used to.
So was there a logical reason behind that, or is it?
No, that he doesn't know. I thought it might be because Carter was president, and we didn't have a lot of gas, and we had to walk everywhere, and and he grew up in the same area I grew up in Baltimore. Okay. And I remember there being a time where it was really sad everywhere, but he said it just all of a sudden he was having a good time at this bar, and all of a sudden it went completely dark and different, and it stayed that way for a while. And he kind of felt like there was something trying to control him, to make him feel that way. So it just makes me wonder, is this maybe something going along the lines of a demon, or something that's just trying to control you to the point where you're depressed and sad for no good reason, because he couldn't come up with a reason as to why.
Well, so let's go back. Carter was president from 70s until to 80.
Yeah, till 1981, I guess. Reagan took office in January 1981.
So that whole time period wasn't exactly the best for our country.
No, we had hostages in Iran, and
I actually watched a movie recently about that. September 5th, I think it was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
It was the date. No, no. I'm thinking it was the hostages during the Summer Olympics.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking that's the one.
Was that in? Is that the one that had the shooter in the tower?
Uh,
That would have been Montreal. I think was
yeah,
that
no,
one.
this one here, it was in whichever country the Olympics was in that year, and somebody had come in and held the Olympic athletes hostages in their rooms, and a bunch of the athletes got killed. So,
Munich.
yes, that's the
That
one.
was in 72. Yeah.
Okay, so that's not the one I'm thinking of then.
No, you're thinking the Iranian hostage crisis.
Yeah,
It came out later on with Oliver North had done the arms deal and all kinds of other stuff. It was
that
all
was
kinds of weird.
the Carter's administration. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. No, I just had the years wrong.
Yeah. And the thing is I mean, I was a kid. I mean, I was 15 in 1980, the middle of 1980. But,
I was
you
born in
know,
the middle of 1980.
so no, that tells you something. But
Mm.
it's, I mean, I could see where, once Reagan got not inaugurated, but once he was elected, I felt like that things were going to get better. I mean, even at 15, I knew,
Well,
14.
Reagan had that presence about him, even from the very beginning, from all the way throughout his presidency. I had watched um, several debates of him, and even when he was campaigning the first time to be president. No, not the first time because he lost that one. When he was campaigning in '80 to be president, and how he would throw in these little one-liners to make everybody laugh, and including his opposition.
Oh yeah.
And the best one was actually when he was running for a second term, when he got Walter Mondale talking about his youth and experience.
Yeah.
That one won him that election. But a lot of how people feel can be traced back to what the national or even state level leadership is. Because when something is going on at that level, it affects people more than they realize or would care to admit.
They're in the bag. The bag with Piper's clothes. So sorry.
That's okay.
I made burritos for my son-in-law, so they want to make sure he gets them because since we're leaving town, they're not going to be good when we get back.
Ooh, yeah.
They'd be really bad if they're not in the fridge. So, but yeah, you're right. It does. I mean, even children can read their parents' moods and know that I mean, I knew in my case it was a little different. My dad was murdered when I was in 75. So I mean, for us it should have been a lot worse. Let's just say that. It should have been a lot worse, but it wasn't.
That's the worst thing for a kid to go through.
Oh yeah. But when you think about this, it's 1975, to 1980. I mean, you're 10 to 15 years old. It's great. You're oblivious to most stuff. But you can pick up on your mom and how she's acting and stuff. And my mom, she seemed to take care of everything pretty well. She didn't seem to have any issues. And so like when he was talking about everything being dark and all that, I didn't really recognize it very well because my mom kind of kept it hidden from us, how tough it was and everything. Only thing I could tell you is that we walked everywhere. It was just the way that it was. So, but like I said, I was just wondering if you had heard anything about this phenomenon where this happens. But my best guess as to it was what was happening in the world at that time made everything feel dark to especially people that were between 17 and 25. They were probably feeling really there's no jobs and everything else, So,
Yeah,
hey
I
there, Dan.
believe that most people tend to project those kind of feelings towards each other, even unintentionally. And especially back then, times were very hard. Because I remember hearing stories from both my parents. It was definitely not the best of times. Um, but then again, when you really think about it, what time in our life really is the best of times when you look at the environment? Um, and I'm not talking just the ecosystem, but the ego system.
Oh, yeah.
The politics. There really is no best of times. The only best of times that you can have is what you make of it yourself.
And music.
Yes.
The 80s had the best music. There's no way to even change that. 80s is it.
Yes. That's been my argument ever since I discovered music. 80s is the best there's ever been. And people say, oh, no, today is great music. That's not even real music. It's created by computer. Music is created by guitars and keyboards, pianos, drums, not
talent. Real talent.
Yes.
Yep. Even synthesizers back then still had to have some talent.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and
Casey and the Sunshine Band, how can you go wrong?
That was 70s.
That was the late 70s, I know.
Yeah. I'm your boogeyman.
Yep. That's it. And we got our grandkids liking that and Thriller.
Shake your booty.
Yep. They shake their booty all the time.
Yep. Shake your booty, boogeyman. That's the way I like it. Oh, yeah. They were amongst the biggest musical attractions back then.
Oh, yeah. I just, then you look back and see what they look like now and you go, oh, my God.
Some of them, yes. There are some of those that have really, really taken good care of themselves. There's others that's the same person.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like Boy George. He looked a lot different, at least a few years ago. I don't know what he looks like now. The only reason I even pay attention to Boy George is because I and Donald Trump have the same birthday.
Wow. Even then, why would you?
Just because people have always brought it up to me.
Well, back in the 80s for Boy George, I actually thought that was a woman.
He was really good with the eyeliner, wasn't he?
The eyeliner, the wig that he was wearing, he doesn't wear a wig. He does the eyeliner still, at least last I knew, but he doesn't wear a wig anymore.
Isn't he bald as a bat?
Either I don't know if it's naturally or if he shaves his head.
Yeah, all I knew is the last time I saw him that he was a chunk.
Yeah.
I don't have any room to talk,
but damn, what a voice he had.
He did have a good voice. Too bad the music wasn't the best. But Karma Chameleon I liked.
Yes, Karma Chameleon was a great song. Although I will always say the greatest song to ever come out of the 1980s is Africa by Toto.
It's a good song.
Because there will never, ever be anything like that again.
So, Kat, the reason I didn't like the one that Tom made is he picked a picture of me from the morning after McPike Mansion, and I hadn't brushed my hair, and I slept in a tent all night, and I did not even look like me. So keep that in mind. It didn't look like me. That's why I asked him, who is this person? Even Ron said the same thing. He goes, that's not you. So that's why.
He has this talent of picking the most
horrible picture of a person. Just because it's in your phone doesn't mean it's a good picture, Tom.
And creating pictures. I've seen some pictures that he has done with him, with Nick. It's like, oh no, I need to bleach my eyes.
Oh yeah, I've seen those pictures too.
Yeah, he just has a knack for that stuff. But when he's making actual logos, no pictures involved, actual logos, he does a pretty good job.
Yes, he does. I like the logo itself. I just did not like the picture of me in it.
Yeah.
Because you know what, Tom, just because I'm turning 60 doesn't mean I have to look like I'm 60. That's
there
it.
You go.
So, and anybody who's out there that's nice enough to say that I don't look like I'm 60, thank you. But this is what 60 looks like. Although I keep telling my kids I'm 29. They don't know math. I never taught my kids math.
Well, if you do, don't teach them the new math.
Well, you just saw our grandkids a little bit ago, so you know how my kids are a lot older than they're old enough to figure it out at this point. So
I didn't see him. You heard him.
Oh, they heard Noel when he goes, what's he doing to that kid out there?
I was screaming bloody murder.
He does it all the time for nothing. He just does it.
Yeah.
Just screeches.
I should have said when you said that is what is
Say,
Nolan?
no, don't jump off the roof. You might get hurt. Just trying to keep you alive.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
because we don't want to go to jail. That's
probably
the bigger reason.
Yeah, that would not be a good thing.
And here we go on our,
he's different. All right.
We're taking them with us to South Carolina tomorrow. So apparently we're gluttons for punishment.
Yay.
That's what you get for being grandparents.
Yeah.
We should drive through Atlanta with them. Ooh, really looking forward to tomorrow. Oh boy.
Atlanta
and screaming kids. Woo.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I drove through Atlanta one time. That was actually in 2008. One of the worst cities I've ever driven through.
Yep.
And we do it every month. It seems like here of late, it's been every month.
Wow.
Yeah.
To get anywhere, we have to go through Atlanta almost. So, we were talking about Paracons earlier. Are you going to any Paracons this year?
No, just the Para-Unity one that's in October.
Okay.
And that's mainly because I'm part of the committee for it. But most Paracons, for me, are more money hungry than anything else.
You're excited
for noise.
No, the noise too. Yeah, that has a lot to do with it. And I'm not a people person. I don't like people. I have been straight up front about that in every interview. I hate people. I really do. But a lot of that has to do with my hearing. Because with my hearing, if there's a lot of people talking, it makes it very hard for me to understand. And most people don't get that. But other times, when I see advertisement for Paracons, they have, these paranormal celebrities coming in, and then it gets to be, oh, well, for $50, you can get a picture here. For $75, you can get an autograph here. For $200, you can investigate with this person. Hell no. I'm not going to spend that kind of money.
Nope.
Not give a crap who it was.
Right.
I might spend $200 to investigate with Kat. Since we can't do it any other way.
Well, you're going to be spending a lot more than that because you're going to Ireland, aren't you? Or Scotland?
Actually, our Ireland trip got canceled.
Oh.
And we cannot go to, if they've got something scheduled for Scotland and stuff, we can't go because we have commitments already.
Wow, that sucks. I know you were
So,
looking forward to that.
yeah, we were.
Yeah.
But you know what? The kids will be older next year. It'll be easier for us to go because they'll both be in school. So that will make it easier for all of us all around to be able to go and not stress out about who's watching the grandkids while we're out of town. So it is what it is, and I'm looking at it as a blessing. And because we didn't go to Ireland, we bought a new car.
Yeah.
That ain't why.
We could buy a new car.
Uh,
We got a hybrid, so we can sit in traffic in Atlanta and not have a problem.
I can feel you on that.
It's already paid off. Coming back from South Carolina, we got stuck in Atlanta traffic going 3 miles an hour.
I wish. I wish I could go that fast.
We
I
sat there for a little bit.
I just couldn't believe the amount of traffic in Atlanta when I went through. There's like 20 lanes going one way, 20 lanes coming another way, and it's jam packed.
Yeah.
How many people does Atlanta have?
It's the crossroads of America.
It's got a lot, but you almost have to go through it to get anywhere in this part.
Mhm.
I mean, there's no other way around, really,
No.
unless you're going up the coast.
Yeah. Going up by 95.
Yeah, I'd much rather do that.
Yeah, but see, for where we have to go,
Yeah, from where
we're
at.
almost 2 hours straight northeast of Atlanta, where we have to go
2 hours.
at the most, isn't it? 2.5?
We're 5 hours from Atlanta.
No, to go where we're going to live.
Oh yeah.
It's 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, if we went through Birmingham, there's no good way from Birmingham
We
to
gotta go
there.
through Atlanta.
Still got to go through Atlanta at some point.
The worst,
Going out of the way.
the worst places I've been through was Atlanta, Dallas. That one was a nightmare.
Yes.
Yeah, that one sucks.
Houston's pretty bad too.
I can't remember if I've been through Houston.
Yeah, that's worse.
Yeah. Nashville sucks.
I've only been through Nashville once, and that was 20 some years ago, and I wasn't even one doing the driving.
That's nothing.
Yeah,
compared
you
to-
could say almost anything on Interstate 40 sucks. Just saying. I hate 40.
The absolute worst place I've ever driven through was New York City.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
I lived in Patterson, New Jersey. I was 5 years old, and my dad took us to New York. We just sat there in the car and didn't move, and I never went back. I've never been back to New York since then. That was back in 1970.
It was 2020 September of 2020 when I went to New York City. I went to Long Island. Two things happened that I had never seen happen before. One was I was going into New York and was getting ready to cross all the toll section, but you still go through it. They take the picture of your license plate and send you the mail. The person in front of me, 2 cars tried to cut it off from both sides and almost collided with each other. That was going in, and then during the middle of my stay, I was on not the Long Island part, but the Manhattan part.
Mm-hmm.
They were doing a lot of construction, a lot of road construction in this area, and where I was at, I was getting ready to get on the bridge to go from that island to get back onto Long Island. And it was merging down to 1 lane from 2. And where I was at, the white lines had already disappeared. So that lane was merging. And it got concrete barriers on both sides. And the jackass behind me decides to gun it and come around me. If I did not slam my brakes, I would have run him into the wall. And I could not believe the audacity of these New York City drivers.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't care.
I'm going to tell you, the drivers in Vegas are horrible.
I have gotten used to the Vegas drivers mainly because I go there so often for my bowling tournament.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't care for it because there is a lot of traffic there. It seems like 15 it gets really congested, but when you get on the strip, it's really bad. Yeah.
Her daughter lives on the strip, right off the strip.
Oh.
Yeah, she walks to work.
Walks everywhere.
Yep. Because she's the general manager at Rainforest Cafe, and she lives by the MGM.
Oh boy, she lives right there in the thick of it.
Yep. In a very nice condo. So yeah, it is what it is. I mean, you know, like when you talk about not liking to be around people and stuff, she really doesn't care to be around too many people. But she goes, I don't have to drive in all this crap.
No, but
she goes, my insurance has gone down. So, yeah, I don't blame her. I'd walk if I could.
I've walked the strip one time. Oh boy, years ago. I was staying at the Circus.
Oh, okay. Way up north.
Yes. And I started walking down south. How far did I make it? I want to say I went down to about where Planet Hollywood is at.
Oh, okay. So in the middle by Bellagio.
Yeah. Made it a pretty good distance because
that is some pretty good ways.
Because I went into Caesar's Palace. That was the one place I wanted to go to.
It's a very nice casino, and the visuals there are interesting.
Yes. I would love to stay at Caesar's Palace just once, but not at that kind of price that they charge. I stay, well, because of the bowling tournament. The tournament itself is at South Point, so that's
they hold a lot of them there.
Yeah, so that's where I stay, and what I'm lucky is that I can just drive in and park, and I don't even have to go outside for 3 days until it's time to leave because everything is there.
Yeah, we've been by that a few times. We usually stay at the Silverton over on Blue Diamond.
Okay,
but that's only because of the fact that we didn't need to be on the strip because our other daughter, the kids that were just here, they lived in Vegas and they lived down by Blue Diamond. So it just made more sense. It was the closest hotel to where they lived.
Okay.
So we stayed there and I like it. It's small town feel. It's got the Bass Pro Shop attached to it. And then right outside is one of the few Cracker Barrels in that part of the country.
I didn't know there was a Cracker Barrel there.
There's actually 2 in Vegas. Just like there's 3 White Castles now in Vegas. One in Fremont, one on the Strip, and one in Jean out by where what was that town called that we went to? Piper's Bar. Yeah, we're out by where the Pioneer Saloon is.
Okay. While you were there in Vegas, did you go check out the Simpsons house?
No.
Okay, I drove by there, not the last time I was there, but the time before that, so that would have been 4 years ago, I think.
That'd been about the last time we were there.
What's the Simpsons house?
As in the Simpsons, as in the cartoon?
Yes.
No.
It is over on the eastern part of town. I forget the name of the city. Basically, it is because it's not Las Vegas anymore. It's like how
Henderson.
Huh?
Henderson.
Maybe.
The other one would be Summerlin.
Didn't know they had a house there. Is it based on that one?
It's in Henderson. So it's going down towards Boulder Dam.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And also another thing that I really liked about it is to get to that house, I had to go by this large water park.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool, and there are a few places out there where it's not straightforward. So it's not like you can stop somewhere and then turn. It's like you stop somewhere and you gotta go right and then make a U-turn to be able to go left.
Hmm.
There's a few places like that in Vegas. I don't care for that. We have one of those not too far from here.
Oh, you mean one of the traffic circles?
Oh no, not that one.
No,
I don't like them either, though. Yeah.
I'm okay with those as long as there's not 5 of them in a row. Because in Indianapolis, there's a shitload of those. They have.
I've only been through Indianapolis once, and it was when we went to Gettysburg in 2018.
Yep.
It's worse.
Yeah, we went across 70.
So most of the accidents
okay,
occur
so 70. That's not bad.
in Europe, and we copied them.
Yeah.
On 70, that's not bad.
Great idea.
Yeah. We lived off 70 for years and years in Kansas and Missouri, not too far from there. It was the way we got to everything.
Yeah.
And when Ron came out to marry me when I lived in Baltimore, he left St. Louis, came across 70. He gets to my house and he goes, I swear it said I only had 100 miles to go. He goes, I felt like I went 100 miles and I still didn't get anywhere. He goes, all these roads were doing all this stuff on 70.
Well, in Indy, yeah, when you're coming from the west, you're going straight, and then all of a sudden you got to go straight up north and then turn back because the way that they find it, I don't know why they did it that way. But no, Indianapolis is a lot worse. They actually have a street, and this is the one that goes right by where the Indianapolis World Fair thing is.
Mm-hmm.
69, Interstate 69, which is right out here.
Mm-hmm.
It when it gets into Indy, it turns into I think Broadway Street, literally from the interstate into Broadway Street, and it's the only place I have ever seen this where the middle lane is interchangeable. At some points during the day, you can go south on this lane.
Yep. They got that in St. Louis too.
Go north. I've never seen anything like that except for there.
Yeah, downtown St. Louis.
Yeah, they'll change it.
Yep,
really?
On 70.
In the mornings.
Yep.
Open up the lanes and then
shut it
the
down.
other way around in the evening.
Yeah, when you were talking about that, it made me think about shit, never mind. It went right out of my head. I have a migraine starting, so things are just going to start running right out. So,
I know how that can be.
Yeah, if anybody understands, we know you do. So, so tell us about some of the shows that are on your network, besides this one and mine, anyway.
We got a whole bunch of them. First, I got my own, the 13th Dimension on Fridays, which is basically whenever I feel like it. And Supernatural Talk on Thursday. That's every week. We just had 152 episodes of that one. And then I also do a wrestling show called Marks on Wrestling on Sundays. Then we have a whole bunch of other ones like Kat. She has Paranormal Experience and Fate Magazine Radio. Then we have Paranormal Path Peeps, which is Jacqueline Dixon from the UK. We have Lois Haddo, who's got, right now she's got 2 shows, the Mystical Carousel show and Fools and Ghouls. She likes to dig a little deeper into more than just the paranormal. She likes to get into like the serial killers and things like that. Um, the Nick Files with Nick Mulay, it's basically a slideshow slash lecture show. Um, very good show, and um, very informative, educational. Um, let's see. He hasn't been on in a while, but we have a guy named Chris Mulay out of Ireland. I think he has a show called The Heart of Cards, and that's where he does readings for people. That's during the mornings for us, his afternoon. But he was doing the shows 5 days a week, and then now it's like hit and miss for him because he's got so many other different things going on. Let's see. We have Dark Mirror Radio Show. I know I'm forgetting a few others. We have like
Adrian's show.
Huh?
What's Adrian's show?
That's Supernatural Talk with me.
Okay.
For a little while, she was also doing Broomsticks and Bloodstains with Terry Wilson. That's where they talk about witchy stuff.
Yeah.
Fear fans. Yeah, Fear fans. That's actually coming on in an hour and a half, where the guys do movie reviews, horror movie reviews, and also throw in the horror games, and also little fun Halloween type shows, like Scooby Doo mysteries and things like that. Let's see, Unveil Paranormal with Clarissa.
Yeah, I've been on her show.
Yep, she's on hiatus right now. Her last show was last week. She'll be on hiatus for a number of weeks. She usually takes like 2 months off, something like that, unless she starts getting the itch for it and then comes back sooner than she planned. That's happened with her a few times. What else? We've had so many different shows. Grizzly Chris has a number of shows, and they're all of different names. Bigfoot Outlaw, Hidden Realms. Let's see. I probably have to pull up the schedule just to be able to name everything.
Yeah.
How many shows do you feel are on your network?
It's never been any less than 20.
Okay.
And it's like we got something. Haunted Memoirs on Saturdays. That's Linda. She is the host for Unity this year.
Okay.
And she does something similar to what Nick does with his show. Only she focuses on actual haunted locations. Whereas Nick, when he does his, it's not just haunted locations, but also the myths and legends. And like recently, he did one on a tornado outbreak in Oklahoma. He actually spread that out through 3 or 4 different shows. So, but yeah, we almost never have less than 20 shows every week.
Good.
Yeah, something every day. And it keeps.
Well, I'll tell you, we are so happy that you have us on your network, and we're grateful for every listener that we gain from being part of things. And we'd like to thank you so much for giving us the opportunity.
No, I'm just glad that you guys trusted me enough to put your show on my network.
Well, I have really had some really great people around me this whole time. Like Kat's been around me since day one. So she's a very good guide. So, and people put a lot of trust in me when I got started. So it's always important to trust other people when it comes to this, but to a limit. Because even as much as we love doing the shows, sometimes life gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know that better than anybody. Sometimes we can't always do our best every single time.
I have yelled at people because they keep saying, "Oh, I can't do it, so I'm so sorry. I got something else going on. I'm so sorry." Don't be. Life takes precedent. If you need to take a break, take the damn break. I've yelled at Nick many times for that.
Nick loves doing it.
Oh yeah.
But sometimes he loves it so much that he doesn't realize he needs to take a break.
Exactly. I have told him to, and it finally sunk in for him.
Well, you know what? We are at the limit of our show tonight. So we would like to thank you so much for coming on. And everybody, that's listening, you can find all of his shows on Things Network, and as well as this show and the Paranormal Pride. And of course, like you said, Kat's shows, Fate Magazine Radio, and Paranormal Experience, and so many others. So please go out and check those out. And just to give you guys a heads up, the Paranormal Pride and Paranormal Nation Radio is taking a 2-week hiatus, and we will be back after that. So please keep us in mind for all you're listening. We got all kinds of replays out there you can check out. But you can find us here on Things Network, where Ron and I and Carl are all part of Things, just like Jeremy. And thank you for that. You can also find us on Temple of Phoenix Rising Entertainment and Dark Realm TV on Roku and Amazon Fire, soon to be on Apple TV. You can also find us on Denise, my Paranormal Pride YouTube page and Carl's YouTube page, as well as somehow, some way, we're on LinkedIn tonight. I don't know why, but we are. So we'll take that for what it's worth. And you can also find us on Born TV, on Rumble. So if there's someplace that you think that we need to be, or you want us to be there, let me know. And also, if you have guests that you think that would be great for my show, Jeremy's shows, any of them, just reach out. Let us know. We'll hunt them down and we'll bring them on. So thank you guys and have a great night.
Good night, everybody.